All right, we got Jack Gully Radio here. We got special guest Peter Parker. You know, the same gentleman who had that debacle with Pastor Manning on YouTube about the ministry as well as his donation. Maybe he might be just be taking a donation, buying some new suits. Just joking. But hey, you never know what can happen in that time. But we're going to hear talking about the Sheriff Joe Apario's conclusion to the birth certificate, the death of Andrew Breitbart, and other topics. Peter Parker, how's it going?
Not too bad. How you doing, Joe?
Oh, I'm doing fine. And Danny, now tell us the conclusion of the so-called Sheriff Apario's private posse, or whatever the crew they call themselves. Give us what was going on.
Well, the conclusion is that the guy's a fucking idiot.
Oh my God! Wow, not too bright up there, huh?
No, not too bright. I'll say one thing. Before we get into this, I just want to say that I watched an old episode of Penn and Teller, Bullshit.
Yes.
Which was on Showtime years ago. And they did an episode on experts reports, and they found out that 99% of these experts who, go to trials, most of them aren't even experts. They're just idiots. Like, they get an expert for somebody who puts screws into a DVD player. You know what I mean?
Yes.
There's experts for everything. Like, it's just retarded. So, I mean, that video I sent you shows you. It was the video from the local NBC affiliate in
Yes.
Arizona, where you can scan anything with I guess newer printers or the Adobe software.
Uh-huh.
And you can scan anything, and this Adobe software will automatically break it up into layers. And the reason why they do that with Adobe software is so you can search the document. So let's say you scan in a page from a book.
Okay.
And, better yet, let's just use an example. Let's say you bought a Nikon camera, and you don't know how to use, you don't know the buttons where it controls the aperture.
Yes.
Okay? You can scan it in your own manual, make a PDF, and then you can type in the word aperture, and it'll search it. There's a software, what it does is it can lock into the black part of the lettering and determine what letters those are, if it's an A or a B or a C, and it can put those all together. And, it really is advanced software, and if they went back maybe 10 years ago, or when, I'm not really sure when Adobe, added all these extra features, but I can tell you maybe if it was 10 years ago, yeah, they probably would have been spot on the money. But today, they don't really have anything. Now, there is a little bit of controversy about that stamp, and I really can't say either way on that issue. Maybe they had other stamps there when they ran low on that other kind, the one that they always used.
Yes.
People at offices, they're always misplacing pens and stamps and other things, whatever, but who knows? I mean, honestly, I think everybody should be focusing on the law that both parents need to be U.S. citizens and just forget about the birth certificates. You're never going to see it.
No, you never will. And, this is a crying shame that Sheriff Joe Apario spent all the time and even probably some of the taxpayers' resources to try to prove that Obama's birth certificate was a forgery, and come to find out he was a total fool, and as well as his posse crew ended up being proven wrong, because obviously they didn't know nothing about Adobe Illustrator or the technology, or that it had 9 layers, 40 layers. That was a natural original scan. Depends on if it's like a consumer or an industrial scan it comes from. So what will be next after Sheriff Joe Apario, after he's been humiliated and embarrassed?
Well, it's kind of hard what's going to happen. I mean, somebody asked, what's your next step? And he goes, I really don't know. He said he doesn't know his next step. So is this just so they make Obama look bad, so they get votes from other states, people who are more moderate or moderately conservative switch, to the GOP or something like that. It could also backfire because they could also come out and say, hey, this is how this is done with Adobe Illustrator and PDF files, and then make the GOP look good. So, it could go either way.
Mm-hmm.
And, maybe he really does think that the PDF is fake, and maybe he did get some dummies to examine it and to scan it in. And, he's an older guy. He probably doesn't know too much about Adobe Illustrator or Photoshop or those types of programs. So, who knows? Honestly, 99% of the people who call themselves experts in certain fields aren't really experts.
Yes. Yes. Mm-hmm.
Anybody who's listening to this video or this podcast, you can scan in your own birth certificate, and make a PDF file with the newest Adobe software, probably with the newest printer, and it's going to break it up into layers. And again, it's basically breaking up into layers so documents and pages can be searched for. So, just think of it like I lost my manual to my Nikon camera. I had to go to Nikon, download a PDF, and I had to look up something. I can just search it. So basically all they do is just scan their own documents or whatever. They make their manuals on the computer, so they probably just make them into PDFs. They probably don't scan the papers, but they could do that. They could scan the papers and everything, and you can just search it. That's what Google is doing. They're just scanning books and scanning books.
Yes.
And when the software can tell the difference between white paper or, it doesn't even have to be real white. It could be like brownish paper, kind of like in novels, or, it could be green or whatever, but it can lock onto the black ink. And, Adobe Illustrator and the PDF, they understand all the different types of text. If it's Arial or, there's like hundreds of different types of fonts. And Adobe Illustrator has all those in there. So, it's going to lock onto any A or any B letter on the font, and, it's just going to register everything.
Wow. Okay. So maybe it would have been safe and sound to Apario just hire professionals who know what they're doing to prove if the birth certificate was a forgery, instead of him conducting his own investigation, as he has little or no knowledge about editing or PDFs or pixelating, etc. Would it have been safe for him to hire a firm to do that for him in order to even prove his claims?
It's a possibility, but he did say that he had 2 ex-police officers, and like I said, most experts out there who claim to be experts aren't experts. They say, when they go to police, 2 police officers who specialize in investigations, they're not Photoshop experts. There are some people who are so good with Photoshop and Illustrator. They can do some amazing things when you wouldn't even know it was tampered with.
Yes, maybe they should hire maybe they should call on the CIA to do it.
There's a guy, I forget his name, but he lives in San Francisco, and there's like this train station, and I guess he took a photograph of this outdoor train station, and he recreated this photo. Okay, it took him 2 years. He didn't use the photo, he just used it as reference. Okay, the train's here, the wood's here, the benches are here, and he recreated it all in Photoshop, and it looks like the photo. And the only thing, you really have to look at it really good to tell that this is not a photo. That's how good it is.
Yes.
And, there's some talented people. There's a guy on YouTube who draws celebrities. If you type in Speed Payton, Spider-Man, or Megan Fox, the one of Megan Fox, looks pretty close to a photo from a point of view that maybe it was like airbrushed just a little bit for artistic reasons.
Yes.